Hi, I'm Cedric from Ratings.com. We are testing today the Samsung Q7F QLED TV. Samsung made a lot of fuss about QLED, but it's still an LCD TV. It's a good TV, but it is not significantly better than last year's model like the KS8000, or at least not on all aspects. There are three sizes for the Q7F, 55, 65, and 75. We bought two 55 for testing. I'm going to explain later in this video why we bought two of them. But first, let's take a look at the design. The design of the Samsung Q7F is great. It has slim borders, so it will fit visually in your room nicely. It's also thin from the side, and the back of the TV has a clean look. The stand wobbles from side to side, but not back and forth. All the inputs are located on the big One Connect box. The only thing that connects between the box and the TV is a very thin optical cable. A downside to that approach is you'll need two power outlets, since both the TV and the box have their own separate power cord. At least, you can route the cables behind the stand so you don't see them. Now for our measurements. Let's start with the blacks. The native contrast ratio is good, but nothing special for an LCD TV. The blacks are definitely not as good as OLED. The Q7F does have a local dimming feature to help a little bit, but since the TV is edge lit from the bottom, you can see a big vertical blooming bar that follows moving objects. So if you watch movies in the dark, OLED is better. The gray uniformity is good, about the same as the KS8000. Our unit has a little bit of brighter edges, but nothing significant. Motion blur is great. The response time is not as fast as OLED, but 10 milliseconds is good for an LCD TV. The biggest difference with the KS8000 is the 0 to 20% transition, which is why you don't see it in our pictures. The input lag is good in 1080p, 4K, and even HDR. Therefore, it is a great TV to play video games. Take note that game mode has been moved to General and External Device Manager. The picture quality degrades at an angle, even though Samsung claimed that it wouldn't be the case. It is about average for an LCD TV. OLED TVs maintain better contrast at an angle. However, OLED TVs do have a shift in tint. The Q7F is excellent at handling reflections. There is a purple tint similar to the LG B6 OLED, but that coating works well to reduce the intensity of reflections. The Samsung Q7F cannot get very bright, especially in HDR. We measured about 800 nits on a 10% window in HDR in movie mode, which is significantly lower than the KS8000, although it can maintain it for a longer period of time. Samsung told us that our unit has a brightness lower than specification, so we gave them the benefit of the doubt and we bought a second unit from Amazon. The second unit is slightly higher, but still in the same ballpark as our first unit. Samsung couldn't understand why, so we have invited Samsung's engineers to our lab in Montreal. They confirmed the validity of our measurements of peak brightness on our two units using their equipment. They commented that the peak brightness measurements are lower than specification. The Q7F should reach 1000 nits in HDR in movie mode. They are currently investigating why our two units are lower. Keep in mind that most other reviewers get their sample cherry-picked by Samsung directly, so they will get higher numbers. But for us, we buy our own units, which better represent what the customer can end up with. So you can expect a variance of brightness between units for this TV. But even with the numbers that Samsung has provided, it wouldn't really change anything in our review, as even their numbers are not really good compared to the competition, especially in HDR. Now for the color volume test. Color volume measurements depend a lot on the methodology used, and there are currently no globally accepted standard. There are some standards, but not everyone agrees on them. So you cannot trust the manufacturer's numbers, because they will choose a methodology that benefits them. The Samsung Q7F has the biggest color volume we measured so far, by about 5%. It is really great in the high luminance, but it is still not covering everything in the dark colors. For our measurements, we are using the PQ curve as the luminance axis, to better represent how the eye perceives the brightness. We are also using the XY color space, although we will switch to the ICT-CP color space soon. And most importantly, we are calculating the intersection of the TV's color volume and the target one, not simply dividing both volumes. Let us know in the comments if you want us to do a more in-depth video about color volume. Now for the smart features. It uses Taizen like last year, but it got a visual revamp and everything is now white. Besides that, it isn't much different and everything works pretty well for the most part. It comes with a smart remote and the build quality is pretty good on it. Overall, the Samsung Q7F is a good TV, good motion handling and good colors. But unfortunately, the picture quality degrades at an angle and it doesn't get very bright, especially in HDR content. So it's very hard to recommend the Samsung Q7F, especially that there are better TVs overall for a lot less money. But if you want saturated colors, it's a good choice. So that's it. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and see you next time.